All right, it is the final day of vacation. Everything wrapped up this morning. Heading back tomorrow, I'll be starting back in the grind. But there's a lot of exciting things planned in the grind. In fact, tomorrow, I think I'm doing a full day shoot of the next cohort, so I'll probably bring you along with me. A cohort is just a group learning around some central content, which this will be about leading yourself. But today's chapter on how successful people think is learn from reflective thinking. I think that's timely too because of vacation. I mean, vacation for me is a time to get away, to put my toes in the sand, to reflect on the year so far. I usually do a vacation in July and then a vacation in December in which I reflect. We've added a couple more in as the kids got a little bit older, but those have really been the 2 points that I do some reflective thinking. And I think the reason this chapter hits so hard is because so many times as leaders, as very productive people, we don't always take the time that's needed for reflection. How I explain it to leaders sometimes is it's kind of like that old show, Supermarket Sweep. You remember that show? The contestants would run down the aisles. The game show would look like a supermarket. They'd run down and they start throwing things in the basket. And they'd get to the end and the host would go, "Why'd you put this in the basket?" Or "Why did you put this in the basket?" And they didn't remember. They were just in a hurry. I think sometimes that's us going through life, not checking the cart as much as we should. That's the power here of self-reflection. I love how John Maxwell says, as I go through this process, reflective thinking, my goal is to reflect so that I might learn from my successes and mistakes, discover what I should try to repeat, and determine what I should change. That's what self-reflection is. It is us making the necessary adjustments after we think about what we've done and how it went for us. So daily adjustments are what I want you to think about. What daily adjustments do you make? Do you have a pattern of self-reflection? Do you take the time to check the cart? Because I think a lot of times what happens, and I wrote this in the margin here on page 72, is we go through these situations and we're so close in the moment to how we're feeling that we don't take the time to actually use it to learn. Here's how John Maxwell puts it. Reflective thinking enables you to distance yourself from intense emotions of particularly good or bad experiences and see them with fresh eyes. Sometimes we got to step back. What have we talked about in the beginning? We got to zoom out so that we can see what we're supposed to be learning in that moment to help us become better at growing through struggles, better at getting through challenges, better at helping others along the way. Now, the way that we get better is we turn those experiences into insights. We collect them along our journey. Because when we take the time to process what's going on, when we take the time to find the lesson in the loss. I remember when I had the restaurant during COVID. It was 2 hours away from my house. I was driving up every day, opening the restaurant because I'd lost almost half my staff. I was working all day, closing the restaurant, driving home. 9 months of just wondering, what is this going to produce in my life? Where is this going? How long can I do this? But through the reflective process, I saw that it was something I was going through for something I was getting to. I was getting to what my life looked like post-COVID and leadership development and coaching and training. All of that would then come together. And all of those lessons would teach me something that was very valuable in my next. But turning those experiences into insights are something you're going to have to work at. John Maxwell says it right here. For most people, self-reflection and self-examination don't come naturally. It can be a fairly uncomfortable activity for a variety of reasons. Number one, they have a hard time staying focused. Think about the fast-paced world we live in. It's really hard to just sit down for 10 or 15 minutes and clear your mind of what's going on around you and just focus on an experience that you've just lived through or that you've had recently. I like to do this with a cup of coffee. It really makes it a lot easier for me just to sip on a cup of coffee and think, when I'm done with this coffee, I can get up. But right now, I'm gonna be reflective on what I just went through, on what I just did, I just accomplished. And that allows me to focus my mind. Another thing he says is they find the process dull, or they don't like spending time on emotionally difficult issues. But it's something you got to work at. John Maxwell says distraction and reflection simply don't mix. No, you're always going to be bombarded by distractions and interruptions. They're going to come. And so what I like to do is take my phone and put it on focus mode. Put it on focus mode so it's not sending me a bunch of alerts. As I sit there, as I drink that cup of coffee, I like it to be quiet. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of music on in the background, but I'm going to get as many interruptions and as many distractions out of the way as possible while I take that time for reflection. All right, 3 questions. On page 77, there's a lot of questions, but let me give you 3 here that I think are great for our application. Question number 1 that'll help you with reflection is, what did I learn today that'll help me grow? Every day you got to be learning something. There's an old quote that I love. You're either growing or dying. What did you do today? This is what I'm reflecting on that's letting me move further in my journey. Question number 2, who did I add value to today? Who did I add value to today? How did you enhance someone else's life? How did you go out of your way to serve somebody else? And the third question is, what do I need to do tomorrow? As I think back through my day, what do I need to do tomorrow? How do I put some of those puzzle pieces together to get me closer to where I want to go? Let me end with this. Page 79, John Maxwell says, reflective thinking has 3 main values. First, it gives me perspective within context. Sometimes we can be so far in the future that we're not here right now. We're not looking at what we just went through. We need perspective. Number 2, it allows me to continually connect with my journey. Continually connect with my journey. Where are you at along the way? And number 3, it provides counsel and direction concerning my future. Where are you going? When you start reflecting on today, you're going to be so much closer in getting there. Well, I hope this chapter helps you. I hope you're going to take a little bit of time for some reflective thinking. I would encourage you to do the cup of coffee method. And if you don't drink coffee, tea. If you don't drink tea, glass of water, however you want to do it. But sit down, put your phone in focus mode, take a little bit of time, and just reflect on your journey. It is your superpower. I'll see you tomorrow.